A new face has entered the Liberal leadership race pretty much at the 11th hour. Dhalla has announced her bid to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Dhalla served as an MP for Brampton in the House of Commons from 2004 to 2011, and since losing her seat, she's filled her time in the hotel sector and as a philanthropist. And she joins us now from Toronto. Dhalla, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
You've been away from politics for more than a decade. Why return now and think the right way to return is to become Prime Minister?
Well, first of all, I think I share the anger and the frustration of thousands of Liberals across the country because the Liberal Party of today is no longer the Liberal Party as we knew it. I've been volunteering, with the Liberal Party since the age of 14. I've dedicated so much of my life to public service, and over the last 10 years, it's almost become a one-man show. And when I took a look at all of the candidates that were running, I just found it ironic that all of the people that are running as candidates wanting to be the leader have spent the last 10 years creating and developing all of these policies, that they're actually trying to undo now. And when I took a look at all of that and received many phone calls from across the country, I realized that we needed the perspective of someone who is a self-made businesswoman, a self-made entrepreneur, who knows the challenges firsthand that entrepreneurs and businesses in this country are facing. And then as a healthcare provider, I have such great insight into the crisis of our healthcare system. And then being a three-time elected MP, I also have the legislative experience that I think is needed and a necessity to navigate the many, many unprecedented challenges that Canadians and our country is facing.
Well, I appreciate your criticism that a lot of the people who are running on platforms to change things were there when they got to a point where they needed change. But should you win this, they would also be your candidates and your caucus, right? So you would be bringing that team along. So how does your criticism of them help you in this?
I don't think it's necessarily, a criticism, but I do think it is important to have an open conversation. And when we talk about this leadership, I'm the only one that has not been affiliated with the current administration. I'm a fresh face and I have fresh ideas and a new vision. And as you mentioned and shared, over the last 10 years, I have done a lot of work, not only in the business sector, but through philanthropy and also doing a lot of international work. And for me, I'm so passionate, not only about a party that I have grown up with, but also about our country. And I want to be able to utilize that experience that I have gained, those relationships that I have built to ensure that Canadians succeed, but also that we as a country become number one in the world and gain the respect in the world stage that we once had.
Right, so you say you would be a fresh face, and that would certainly be true for this current generation of Liberals since the big comeback in 2015, but you're also a three-term MP, as you said. And, if people Google Dhalla, some of the first things that come up to remind is, I'm resigning as critic to clear my name because you were accused of, mistreating nannies and not paying them enough and using them to do work in your business beyond the scope of what they were hired for. So how do you explain that to the current generation of Liberals when they see these stories from the past?
To the current generation, of Liberals and those, that have been asking, I was the victim of a Conservative drive-by smear campaign, and I'm not going to get into all of the details, but that smear campaign will not be tolerated. When I was first elected, I had the honor of being one of the first women of Indian origin elected as a member of Parliament, not only here in Canada, but the entire Western world. And the way that women, the challenges that they faced in the political process, I think that the environment has definitely changed. I'm a lot stronger, I'm a lot wiser, and I've gained a tremendous amount of experience where those drive-by smears will no longer be tolerated and no longer be accepted.
Okay, well, I mean, you did step down as critic. There was a settlement in one of the cases, and so you will have to address it presumably at a certain point should you win in greater detail. But you're getting into this race very late. Not that you had a lot of time. Nobody did. But you've seen the endorsements and you've seen the show of strength from Mark Carney. You've seen the show of strength from Chrystia Freeland. How do you even begin to catch up against that kind of a lead at this point in the calendar?
That's a very good question, and I'm actually focusing my entire race on members across this country. And MPs play such an important role, but we must remember that in a race like this, each member of Parliament has one vote. We need to ensure that we start engaging the Liberals that were involved before, but also a whole new demographic and a new generation of Liberals to join our party to ensure that we actually have, a policy and we have solutions for average Canadians across this country which are struggling to put a roof over their head or put food on their table or have these sky-high cell phone prices, or to ensure that entrepreneurs have the resources that they need to actually create jobs and have innovation and stimulate the economy. So I think ultimately whoever wins needs to ensure that our team is united. And for myself, coming from a healthcare background, I know as leader of the Liberal Party and Canada's next Prime Minister, I will work in a cooperative and collaborative approach with everybody, including our caucus.
Okay, so you're reaching out to grassroots and Liberals across the country, but you've got 4 days, I think, until the sign-up date. And caucus and their lists and their knowledge helps with that, right? And if you look at the organization, you need a national network to do it. I mean, do you have that?
Yes, I do. Before entering this race, I actually thought very long and hard prior to entering it because, as you said, you not only require a national organization, you also require, people fundraising and contributing to the process. The fee alone is $350,000. But I am, very blessed that we have a great team across the country. I was actually born and raised in Winnipeg and came from very humble beginnings. And I have worked, for many, many years on the Western Canada portion of our country. I have worked on, hundreds of campaigns, knocked on thousands of doors. And going into this campaign, for the time that we do have a national team, we have national organization, and we have been working the phones nonstop. For anyone that knows me, they know that I'm the president of the Workaholics Club. So we have an incredibly loyal team, a hardworking team, and I'm looking forward to a very competitive race for us to be able to engage a whole new generation of Liberals.
Okay, so you're working the phones nonstop, but you were also in Washington, right, for the inauguration?
Yes, I was.
Okay, yeah. So you met with Marco Rubio, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, how did that happen? And tell me about what you said to them about this.
Well, we have a Canada-U.S. Business alliance, which consists of CEOs both from Canada and the U.S. And given the threats that are being posed on our country right now, all of us as CEOs got together and we went out to Washington for the inauguration. I believe that out of sight is out of mind, and going to the inaugural festivities and some of the events that they had, it was very important to meet these types of individuals, and meeting Senator Marco Rubio, who's now the Secretary of State, along with other foreign ministers. It was an opportunity to actually promote Canada on an international level. And you talked about Mark Zuckerberg, who's the founder of Facebook, and when I met him, I was briefing him on Canadian politics and letting him know that I would be entering the race. And he asked, which party are you from? And I said, the Liberal Party. And he kind of scratched his head and he said, what are you doing here at the Trump inauguration? And I said to him, I'm here to save Canada. So I think that the relationships are incredibly important, and we have a chance to educate our neighbors down south of what is theirs to lose if these types of tariffs are imposed on the U.S. and on Canada and the U.S. and Canadian relationship.
Well, Ruby Dhalla, thank you for speaking to me today, and good luck. If you win, we definitely want you to come back. Liberal leadership hopeful Ruby Dhalla, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.